Hey guys, it's Tatsu. Today, I'd like to talk about the attacks and the discrimination against people of Asian descent that seems to have occurred in the US in recent days. To be honest, I am angry that people in the US and Europe who are supposed to be so advanced in human rights have not protected us Asians. We're quietly mad. I'm gonna quote CNN News now, and then I'll tell you what I think. The fear and outrage felt by Asian Americans after the Atlanta area super shootings hasn't vanished, and neither has the bias and violence that preceded it. Lawmakers and activists say a horrific attack on a 65-year-old woman in New York City this week has prompted widespread condemnation and became the latest reminder that anti-American bias and violence in America has not abated. The woman of Filipino descent was punched and kicked in front of a New York City apartment complex in broad daylight by an attacker who allegedly made anti-Asian statements toward her. The attack comes days after the NYPD began deploying undercover Asian officers to help combat hate crimes against Asians. It took place on the same day that the U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn announced plans to double the size of its civil rights criminal division, citing the spiking number of hate crimes directed at Asian Americans in its jurisdiction. In the 2 weeks since the shootings in Atlanta, others have been assaulted or received threats. A 38-year-old Asian man was punched in the face near Penn Station in New York City. A 54-year-old woman was hospitalized after a man struck her in her face with a metal object. An elderly woman in California got a letter in the mail threatening Asian Americans after her family laid her husband to rest. As the attacks persist, the rallies calling for an end to anti-Asian violence continue and have spread to large and small cities across the country and abroad. At a rally in Los Angeles, Tam Nguyen shared a letter that he said was sent to several Vietnamese open nail salons in California last week. It's a tough time to be Asian. I want to read this letter, he said, and recited a litany of racist slurs and stereotypes that ended with "go home." He told CNN that his parents moved to the United States to give he and his sister a better life, but right now it doesn't feel that way. Another rally in Atlanta last weekend was roughly 60 events held that day, organized by the Act Now to Stop War and End Racism Coalition. In the wake of the events in Atlanta and New York, Naomi Osaka and BTS have spoken out to the world to end prejudice against Asians. Many other Asian celebrities have also spoken out about discrimination against their own race. I'm not as influential as Osaka or BTS, but as an Asian living in Tokyo, I have a thing to say. Too late. It's too late to start a movement to protect Asians. It was a year ago that I posted the Asian Lives Matter video. Last March, before BLM became active, I reported that Asians, including the Japanese, were being attacked around the world in the wake of this pandemic. After George Floyd was killed, we said that Asian lives are just as important as black lives. I also talked about how we are more of a minority in America than black people. But until now, our feelings have been killed. Just the other day, I posted a video about a German football commentator's remarks and received prejudiced comments about me and my country. America has started to protect black lives. Black racism will be dealt with. In American primary schools, you would learn about Martin Luther King Jr. His biography is also read in Japan. As soon as we know about the past, we know that there is a discrimination against black people in America. Even now, George Floyd's name has been reported in the news in Japan. But what about the lives of Asians? Has discrimination against Asians ever been dealt with? Perhaps, like Dr. King, there were and are many Asians in America who rebelled against discrimination. But do you know their names? At least I have never seen such news reported in the US. Of course, the problem of discrimination against black people has not been solved yet. There are still anti-black people, and King's dream is yet to come true. But we are worse off than black people in America. Blacks are discriminated against, reported on, and there is a movement. Asians are discriminated against, but there's been no media coverage, no human rights movement. Indeed, the victimization of Asians in the West is ignored. For example, go to YouTube and search for Paris acid attack. A group of Japanese people were sprayed with hydrochloric acid in Paris in February. But are there any videos reporting this news? The answer is no, except for my own. This fact clearly shows how neglected we are in Europe and in America. It reveals the false human rights consciousness, the false liberal attitude of whites and blacks. You think of us as monkeys or something. The lack of a vigorous campaign to protect us over the past year has exposed your latent racism. How appalling. I should be saying something friendly, like, let's work together. But I'm not gonna do at the moment. The American non-Asians will betray us anyway. As far as this Asian is concerned, I have to predict that. That's all for this video today.